Hi everybody. Today we're going to talk about setting up and optimizing your images for your portfolio. And there are a few things to consider, important steps to take to make sure that your images are ready and that they look their best online. Now, a lot of times when we're working with our portfolio artwork, we need to be able to use it for a variety of purposes. Sometimes it's meant for e-commerce. We're going to make products out of that artwork. Other times it's just meant for display to show off what we can do and to include it in our portfolio. Either way, you're probably going to need more than one image file to get that done. And so you have to get used to the idea of archiving and keeping track of your files and putting them in a place that you can find and labeling them. You know, a lot of people are used to being pretty disorganized, but when it comes to this and you have a lot of stuff going up on your website or in your portfolio, if you don't have a good filing system and you're not really careful about how you name your files, you're going to get yourself in trouble. So here's an example. I have a piece of art that I completed recently, and it's going to be used for a variety of things. Number one, it's going to go in my portfolio. Number two, I'm going to make products out of it to sell on my website. Those could be posters, those could be mugs, t-shirts, you know, whatever I decide to do from my print-on-demand store. So first of all, I need to have a piece of art that is high res, that is the proper color profile, and is transparent in the background. So that way it can be uploaded and used by a variety of services that I use to fulfill my print-on-demand orders. So this original artwork was created in Illustrator. I like doing graphic art like this, but I need to bring it into Photoshop to make the proper file type. So one thing you'll notice is it is on a separate layer, and it does have a transparent background because I do like having the cut edge around the artwork. Now if you look at the actual size of the image, if I go to image size, for example, and I look and show what it is, it's 2500 pixels by 3500 pixels, and it's at 300 dpi. That's pretty much based on the original artwork, which I drew at 11 by 17 thereabouts in Illustrator. So when it came through and I dropped it into my Photoshop file, it became, you know, high res at 300 dpi, and that's definitely the file type I need for my store and for doing and selling artwork. Here's the thing though, I don't want to put that image in my portfolio. I don't want to put it on my blog. I don't want to put it on Facebook or anything like that. There's a few reasons why. Number one, it's a high quality image. I'm not usually really afraid of people ripping me off, but I don't want to give out that image file where other people can find it. So I'm not going to upload that high quality image to my website. So I need to make other separate files. And what I typically do is I create a Photoshop file that I use for building portfolio resources. And I plan the dimensions and I make sure they fit my website template. Now depending on whether or not your artwork is horizontal or if it's landscape, that's also a concern. I run into trouble where I do landscape artwork and then I do portrait artwork, and they don't fit the same template space on my website portfolio. It can be a little annoying, but you want to figure out some dimensions for either your portrait style or landscape style art. Somewhere in the neighborhood of 500 to 1000 pixels on the longest side is good, maybe even 1500 pixels wide on the long side at 72 dpi. So if I look at this one in the image size category, we're looking at thereabouts. It's a 600 by 900 pixel image at 72 dpi. It's decent size, but it's not too small and it's not too big for my website. It's just right. A couple other things to notice. Inside the template that I create in Photoshop, I usually add a watermark. And I'm trying very hard to remember to always put my signature on everything I do. This is important to me, especially inside my portfolio, is to make sure that my name is embedded somewhere in the image. Now, granted, you can have obtrusive watermarks that like slap on top of your artwork, cover it up, and make it look really ugly. I see a lot of artists and designers doing that. I go back and forth on that. I'd rather just have it there in a little corner, visible and obvious, but not too intrusive to take away from the art, because I don't want to ruin my art, right? But then, however large and wherever I want, my signature gets slapped on there somewhere. And even if I'm a graphic designer, putting artwork in my portfolio as a designer, I want my name on there, or my company name, something that says I did it and you can trace it back to me. Because images have a nasty way of getting separated from their content on the web, right? Image search, file sharing, all that stuff that goes on online separates names from images all the time. So pay attention to that. Now, I'm not really going to get into it in this video, but that also means when you upload your art, be sure and add the alt text. If you're building your website or if you're uploading through a portfolio template, label your art with your name and what it is. Make sure that always carries through. Now, in a situation like this, another thing I like to do is show preliminary stages. These are things that I'll share on the web or put on Instagram. So ahead of time, I just go ahead and prepare a line art version, and I prepare a sketch version to show different stages of the artwork. And that can go into a blog post, or it can go on my Behance page and show preliminary work. If I'm doing graphic design, I might have, a close-up, a mock-up version where it's applied to other objects or graphics. I might even have some campaign graphics. And it's good to have those templates kind of built and ready to go, so you can build your artwork at the right size and then kind of speed up or automate your process. Alright, so just get used to the idea that you're going to have to make multiple files for multiple situations. Set up your Photoshop files as a preliminary way to make a template size that always works, and then just get used to organizing and saving them in the same place where you can find them. Alright, so that's a little bit about web optimization. One more thing I guess I don't want to forget is, depending on how you created your artwork, make sure that you use RGB. Oh, that does remind me of something else I forgot to mention. In addition to picking the right color for your file type, anything going on the web is going to be RGB. You're going to want to pick the right file type for the right situation. Now, back when I was talking about having a transparent background, the file type I need is a PNG. That's going to give me the highest quality with a low file size with transparent background. JPEG, on the other hand, is going to give me a flat file with a white background, also compressed and small, decent quality, but you just want to make sure that you know the difference between those two file types. So I usually have a combination of JPEGs and PNGs ready to go for my website. Alright, so I think that covers some basic web optimization. A little bit later, I'm going to talk about how to set up portfolio mockups to show off your art and apply them to separate objects. Alright, thanks a lot.